Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Yield Today with Dallin, Candland, the show that helps you to build your self care while building a business. Anyway, this is episode number 100, and I am super pumped because we're going to be talking about some things that have been on my mind recently, analogies and things. But we're also going to be reflecting on the path that we've walked so far with the podcast and things I've learned from the first 99 episodes and things that maybe you can apply if you were to start your own podcast or business or side hustle or whatever it might be. Right now, the podcast is making $0 but I'm still having a blast with it, and I think that's really been something that's helped fuel this. Is I get ideas all the time. I love talking with people. I love digging into their stories, and I love being able to provide as much value for people as possible. As with the real struggle right now is that I'm a college student and I need to make a better process so I can provide more professional quality without scrambling and stuff. And I think earlier in the podcasting journey, I was scrambling a little bit more and stressing a little bit more than I am now. Now we have a little bit more of a base, a little bit more of a, I guess, track record. And so, yeah, there's something we can live up to and keep pushing forward. So, yeah, it's been good. But I wanted to talk about those things. So let's just jump right into that. And also, I will talk. Yeah, so we'll be talking about some analogies that have been on my mind recently. So, yeah, we'll talk about a really powerful analogy that's been on my mind recently, some of those reflections on the podcast so far, and some of my quick thoughts for the near future. So, let's just jump right into that. So the analogy is a very humbling one for me to address. This is one that it it requires that I be vulnerable in order to share this analogy with you. I have been struggling a lot lately. Like I've been like pushing myself super hard last semester and I didn't really have much life and energy and stuff enjoy me on some days, right? And I've kind of had this analogy in epiphany or revelation, whatever you want to call it, that this is kind of like a boat that is super solid and has been able to get from point A to point B for the longest time. And now it's kind of got this leak that doesn't get addressed. And slowly water gets into the boat and starts to sink. And so all of the work I put in, I work harder and the boat doesn't go any faster. And it's because there's this leak. There's these other unmet needs or different struggles that are going on that you need to get inside the boat to see them. You can't just look at the boat from a bird's eye view and know what's going on. You have to really look into it. And sometimes I do just look at my life from a bird's eye view and I'm like, yeah, he's doing okay. But it's really nice when I'm willing to like really dig deep and be like, okay, how is my scripture reading? How am I feeling about my mindset? These are really important things to ask myself. Am I doing this for the right reason? Am I reading this book just to impress people? I don't think I've asked myself that question before, but it's good to ask yourself questions. Really good, anyway. So that's the thought this moment. So that's the thought that's been on my mind right now, and I've shared it with Bia, who I shared it with yesterday when I was walking around campus. Shout out to him. I told him a little bit about the podcast. He said it was cool. So thank you, Bia. I appreciate your vote of support. And I also talked with the mail lady today, and yeah, she was like, "That's cool. That's cool," and I agree. But it's just been a really cool thought that's been on my mind. Is like maybe you're a super fantastic person but you have this little leak or multiple that are slowly trickling out value or energy or whatever. And there's things that could be causing that leak. I don't know, maybe a social media addiction or a Netflix addiction. I don't know. But that's just the thought that's been on my mind right now. And I don't know. Sometimes these thoughts just kind of pop in my head and I share them with people for a while and then another one comes on or I write a blog post about it. I say that and my blog isn't even technically live. Um, it is live, but it's barely alive. I'm trying to. That's one thing I've really learned is like you want to focus on one thing at a time, and actually focus on one thing at a time, and not just say you're going to focus on one thing at a time. Be like, okay, I'm going to do Instagram and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Like, you can do that a little bit, but it's better if you have an established system. The podcast has been one of the most consistent things I've done over the last 2 years. If I'd written every single day as I've done the podcast, that would be amazing. But I haven't done that. I've been decently consistent at writing, but not that consistent. And honestly, I could have done it more than I've done the podcast. But the thing with the podcast is I've done it, every single week. And lately it's been twice a week that I've been putting out episodes. And so, yeah. But I feel like this semester I've got a pretty good idea of where the leaks were. Because last semester my boat was going down and I was struggling. I was like, help, help, help. And I got help. But it was kind of like, it was really humbling, it was really tough. And I had to take a step back from the social media and stuff. And for now, I'm still taking a step back from it, but still doing the podcast. And I really enjoyed the break. It's been really good. And I've gotten back into playing video games again. And I'm sure I'll do an episode at some point about things I learned from not playing video games. It'll be different than any other episode you've probably heard about quitting something like that, because it brought on some adverse effects for me too, because I didn't fill in the gaps very well. But yeah, that's kind of what life is about a lot of times, is you just kind of keep moving along and you make these little adjustments. You do these little things so you can keep moving forward. You just kind of learn from it, you look at it, and you just kind of enjoy it. Today I was on campus and I talked with this girl a little bit, and that was something I told her. It's like, I remember because she's like, I think this is her second semester. And I was like, this is something, I had these rough times, especially my first semester was kind of crazy. But all of those experiences, all of those most painful feelings, I don't feel them anymore. And all those memories are in the past. And so it's all temporary. And so it just kind of puts things into perspective. But at the same time, you on your boat of life, trying to get going, that's a consistent thing, man. When you get out of college, different problems, it really helps if you've worked on some of those things or you've given life to those passions and ideas so they can continue to light your way as you continue to move forward. Because you will always have those basic needs of love, acceptance, feeling needed, feeling like you're doing something useful. Those are just basic needs, at least for me they are, and they need to be addressed. They need to be honored, and yeah, you need to appreciate who you're becoming and have an idea of where you're going. And so with your ship, you could be moving in this great direction, but with a couple leaks, it could really slow you down. And I think my life, it was slowing me down. Even if it looked like I was still going at the right pace, in my brain, it was rough. It was rough. But it's getting better, and we're picking up the pace again, and we're figuring it out. And that was a really long thing, but we're going to move on to my reflections from the podcast. So we started this journey on August 24th, 2019, which is pretty amazing. I was digging up potatoes. I'm sure we've heard this story so many times, but I was digging up potatoes with some friends, and I've been wanting to start a podcast for a while, and it was hot, and I was just like, I just want to do it. And so the next day, we got the ball rolling. And that kind of goes along with the first insight I wanted to share, first reflection from this journey so far. And that is that the second you start the journey, you need direction to help yourself keep going and keep moving forward. And you need to also be aware of all the steps and the directions you're moving, so later you can help other people find theirs. That's something I've really tried to do with the podcast, is be aware of all the steps, missteps, and changes and all that stuff I've made, so in the future I can help other people with starting their podcasts. And I've already done that a couple times for some people, and it's been really cool. It's been really cool to be able to do that. This kind of just came to mind. Maybe it's not that relevant, but the thought that comes to mind is, let's say you were leaving home, right? and you're just like, you know what, family, I love you, but I just need to go out and do my own thing. Like Dennis Conforto, I stayed at his house a while ago when I was visiting my mission. That was a part of my spring break. Actually, it was pretty much all my spring break. But that was something he did. He didn't run away from home. He got kicked out of his home, but he was on the street. And the idea is that you need to be on your feet. You need to be thinking. You need to be moving ahead, because it's really, really easy that when you get started, that you decide, you know what, I'm just going to go back. This is too hard and I just can't do it and I can't move forward at this point. But if you've kind of planned it out a little bit and you have some idea of where you're going to move from that point, then you can take that step and you can get somewhere. But a lot of times people, a lot of times when they leave home, I did that once when I was younger. I ran away and I came back like 20 minutes later. But a lot of times when people start their business, they run and they go after it and then they kind of come back because they didn't have the direction or they got scared or whatever, right? And so this is something that I think is vital. When you start anything new, you need to have some kind of vision. You need to have the self-care and everything figured out for yourself so you can keep this going and not lose your brains about it, but actually use it to help you grow and help you become a better person. Because I really believe business can help you to do that, help you expand your mindset to places it's never been before, answering problems and reaching out to people. But it can also be a detriment, just like anything can. The second real reflection I wanted to share about this is that is kind of like on my little mission visit. That's what I like to call it. So I served a 2-year mission trip for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Went out and served people, taught them about Christ, taught them about things that, the church I'm a part of believes, and had a really good time, made some lifelong friends there. And so I was catching up with some of those people. And when I was there, I was writing in my journal and I kind of had this like feeling like I wasn't doing enough. I wasn't seeing enough people. And I was like, ah. But then I had this thought that the worst thing that could have happened is if I didn't go. And I let all these fears and all these things, because I had to like get my clean checks figured out for school. I had to take some exams. I ended up failing accounting, which is rough. But all of that opposition could not overcome the love I had in my heart for those people and my desire to go and do that thing for myself of going and visiting, learning from all the environments and stuff that I'd been in before, and just, trying that out. That's the worst thing that could have happened, is if I didn't go, is if I said, you know what, spring break, I'm just going to do nothing. Instead, I just completely forgot about myself and just dove in and tried to help other people that I haven't seen for like 2 years or so. Some of them 5 years or so. Yeah, so I thought that was good. So that's the second thing, is that the worst thing that could happen is that you don't go. And one of my friends, Cody, he's trying to start a YouTube channel or thinking about it. Yes, go for it, Cody. Go for it, man. Because the worst thing that can happen is if you don't actually get started and then a year later, you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll get started now. I mean, it's not like a bad thing, but it always helps if you act quickly and have like a bias towards action. But you need to kind of be careful, obviously. But, if it works, it works, and you just kind of go for it and you do what you can. And that kind of goes along with the third reflection I wanted to share in this episode. That is that you start for a reason and you continue for a different reason. When I started the podcast, I wanted to reach out to youth all over the world. I wanted to interview awesome people and get their perspectives on life to help out the youth. Now it's kind of gotten a little bit more niche-y, like going and helping out the college students that listen to the podcast, but really it can kind of go bigger than that. But it's more niche-y because it's like more self-care-ish. I don't know. It's been a ball. It's been a good time. But I'm definitely still going because I feel like there are people that need to hear from the people that I interview. And of course, me too. But a lot of the people that. Did my mic fall down? Um, but yeah, you start for. That is that you start for. Um, 1527. Huh? But yeah, like continuing in the podcasting journey has helped me to see, like, yeah, I have a lot to offer. And the thing about creativity, the more you use it, the more of it that you have. And so you can't really go wrong with that. But yeah, I've just, wanted to help out a lot of people. And now it's kind of gone a little bit more focused and really trying to like hit those pain points and really help out more people and be more specific. Because that's something that JLD told me about. Like, you need to know your avatar and stuff. And I'm reading his book, I'm still figuring that out. And that's completely fine. Obviously, it's not the best thing to do. It definitely helps to know who you're serving from the get go. But over time, you kind of figure that out a little bit more. It becomes more clear. The fourth reflection that I wanted to share, and this kind of goes more along with business that you start, is that there will be some who be in it for the long haul, and there are some that won't. And that's something I learned when I started my first YouTube channel with my friends. There were some people, and they said they'd be around for the long haul, and they kind of grew up or whatever. And so they didn't watch our gaming YouTube videos anymore and haven't heard from them or whatever. Then there's others that they have been really consistent and supportive and everything, and it's been really cool to have their support and get to know them better. And that's the same thing with the podcast. There's some people that I know have been listening for a long time, and there are others that kind of listened and then they kind of fell off the bandwagon. That's completely fine. That's completely fine. But it's good to just remember that at any time somebody chose to listen to it, somebody chose to listen to my voice for however long, or the person I was interviewing. And that's a real blessing of time. And I really want to make sure people, that time is well used, and that if they wanted something out of the episode, that they got that thing, or that they got something to help them get that thing for themselves in their lives. But yeah, just being grateful for the listeners that I do have, that's been really important. Because if I cannot be grateful for what I have right now, it's going to be really hard to be grateful when I have more. And that sounds crazy. But the thing is, I'm just grateful to be able to provide the stuff and be able. I've just been trying to start with like base level gratitude. I'm just grateful that I got started, and it's really cool that it's helping other people out, and just kind of focusing on that because yeah, I'm just really grateful for all the things, and it's kind of a quality over quantity thing to some degree. Like a lot of the people I've met from podcasting, they're really solid people, and it's kind of there's a list, but it's like they're really quality, amazing people. And they're probably going to be in there for the long haul with me because they're podcasters, or they just really like what I'm doing, or whatever it might be. And so it's really cool to have that. And that's something that I need to hold on to and continue to appreciate, is not so much going after new audiences and everything, but appreciating the audience that I have and making sure that they are served well. This is something that Travis Brown does so well of Podcast Builder Club podcast. He just does monthly giveaways and all this stuff, and it's super, super inspiring. So it's something I'm going to keep trying to get better at, is showing that gratitude. The final reflection I wanted to share in this episode is that podcasting is a very deep pool. I really like different ventures and things that have deep pockets that you can dig really deep into and learn a lot about. And there's a lot of perspectives and different things that you can do and that you can dive into, kind of going along with the power of starting from scratch episode. Just something that you can like kind of sink your teeth into and really learn more about. Like, I've been learning a tiny bit more about cryptocurrency lately, and there's tons of lore and whatnot about that, and so that's been interesting to learn about. But yeah, podcasting is a super deep pool. It's an emerging category. They recently, I believe that the podcasting, there's some stat recently that podcasting reached 2 million total podcasts, which is insane, because when I started, it was not even a million. It was like 879,000 or something like that. So it's growing really fast, and definitely helps to hop in the boat sooner rather than later so you can get going. Going back to that boat analogy, you can row your boat gently down the stream and go all the way and potentially get a stream of income from that. Maybe not, but you can at least get a stream of inspiration, learn from other people, stream of charity and meeting other people and all that good stuff. But yeah, when I started, it was like podcasting, like sharing your voice and everything. I was cool. This needs to... This podcasting arm is so cheap. But yeah, when I started podcasting, it was like, goodness, how do we... Gosh. But with podcasting, yeah, when I first learned about it, it was like, yeah, it's cool. I can share my voice and it can help other people. And instead of them talking to me on campus and hearing what I have to say, they could just listen to the week's podcast episode. But now I've learned, like, a podcast could literally like drive your entire business and help power the whole thing and your whole social media strategy. So you could literally take a podcast and you could take, a clip. Oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. Come on. Goodness gracious. We need to figure this out. Why does this keep happening? That should be fine. Yeah, so when I started podcasting, I was like, yeah, this is cool. I can share my voice and it can help other people out and they can hear my voice whenever they want. And now it's kind of like, dude, podcast could like power your entire business, your social media strategy. You could take clips out of every episode, put it into tweets, videos, even make a book about all of your podcast episodes. It's really cool, really super cool. And these are strategies that I really want to capitalize on, but I haven't really committed a ton to them. I've posted a lot of things on the Yield Today of Dallin podcast Instagram and a little bit on the Twitter and YouTube. But yeah, these are things that I've not taken full advantage of for sure. Oh my gosh. So yeah, the potential of podcasts is insane. It is completely insane. It is nuts. It is crazy. And that is a big reason why I'm trying to help other people that are interested in it to help them get into it and enjoy it and everything like that. Because it's definitely been a game changer for me and helping me out with making the most of my college years and whatnot. With that all said, that is our 5 reflections from the first 99 episodes of Yield Today, and also the analogy about the sinking ships and leaky ships and whatnot. And again, all this stuff will be in the show notes so you can check it out and re reference it if you would like. For now, I would like to just mention really fast of my thoughts looking at the next 100 episodes or so. I am not quite sure of what the podcast is going to be looking like in the next 100 episodes. All I do know is there's a lot more people I want to interview. There's concepts that I'm very inspired by, and I want to get your perspectives and thoughts on what you're struggling with and what I can do to help you out with, and episodes that would be good for you to listen to, that would be helpful for you in your life. So I'm really excited to provide all of that and help you in whatever way I can. The the cover design for the podcast is so bad. It was okay in the beginning, but now it's extremely outdated. And so for listening to the episodes and the show, I am so thankful because oh man, it is tough to be patient with yourself sometimes. But there's these like little nuggets that are like, I really need to keep this going. And I'm not quite sure what it's going to lead to, but I just know it's going to lead to something good. And I'm taking a social media marketing class and professional sales class and all these classes, and they're really helping me. And I'm really thinking I'm going to apply a lot of this stuff to help the podcast grow. And so the future is very bright for the Yield Today of Dallin Candland podcast. I've been on the fence about changing the name here and there, but now I'm thinking we're just going to own it. And I don't know. We'll see. We did 100 episodes as the Yield Today of Dallin Candland podcast, so it'd be kind of weird to change it up. But I don't know. We'll see. I can make a poll and see what you guys think of the name, because I never asked. And Yield stands for Yes, I Envision Love Demonstrated. So kind of going back to that self-care. Because if you can help out somebody else, it's also like helping you out too. One quote I really like about this is that to esteem someone else is esteem. So if you're going out to helping someone else, it kind of is helping out yourself too. But yeah, we're going to get the graphic design. We're going to get the outro. The thing is, the laptop I've been using, and I'm using right now to record this, the Wi-Fi card is dying over, really started dying, is dying. The Wi-Fi card has been really struggling and is actually dying, and so it's harder for me to connect to the internet. And I know it's just an excuse, but I had to buy a Chromebook, and my family helped with that, which was really nice of them. Yeah, I'm just really thankful for my family there. They're a real blessing. They're fantastic. I really appreciate their patience with me. But yeah, so there's been a lot of things I've wanted to do, but it's just been really hard to do it with limited technology. But we are going to get to that, and we're going to stop making that excuse, and we're going to get there. Hopefully by the 2-year mark. Let's hope. I've made a lot of promises on the podcast, but for now, I just promise you I'm going to keep going, and we're going to keep learning and trying new things. So as I get more focused and figure things out more, I will provide that for you as well. So with that all said, thank you so much for helping this podcast grow. Definitely share it with somebody that you think would be benefited by it, at least one of your favorite episodes. Or if you have a favorite episode, definitely hit me up on Instagram or LinkedIn or something. I would absolutely be thrilled to hear any of that stuff. And if you'd like to be on the podcast sometime, hit me up, Joe or Billy or Sam or Molly. I would love to have you guys on and share your stories too. I think it'd be really fun. With that all said, thank you so much for listening and for your continued support. I'll see you in the next 100 episodes. Thank you so much again, and don't forget to heal today, and it will be a better tomorrow.